Alright, welcome back. So we are doing some of the last graphs of Unit 7. So I know I'm flipping around, but this is day 5 in your notes. It's on page 25 here. So while you're getting that on, I'm going to fill in what we have for the unit circle, and we're going to be doing tangent and cotangent graphs. Now these two are going to be a little bit different. Not a little bit. They're going to be a lot different than the other ones we were talking about. So let's remember that tangent function is odd. So then when tangent x is symmetric with respect to the origin, that means that it's odd, meaning the graph will either be diagonally like first and third quadrant or second and fourth. That's what odd means. So cotangent is also the same way. So cotangent x is also odd. Alright, let's remember that cosine is always the x, just a reminder, coordinate, and sine is always the y coordinate. So tangent is represented as the y over the x, or sine over cos. Some parts of the unit circle you already know. 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, negative 1. Now, so I'm not going around the full circle, I'm just focusing on these two quadrants. Here's some symmetry here, root 2 over 2, root 2 over 2, and root 2 over 2, negative root 2 over 2. Alright, so when we focus on tangent, so tangent at 0, so it's the y over the x. So we're talking about 0 over 1. And this is going to be 0. So at the origin, we're talking about the point 0, 0. At tangent of pi over 2, so up here at 90, we're talking about 1 over 0, so that means undefined. So we're going to have an asymptote, vertical asymptote. At negative pi over 2, so going the reverse way, we have the same thing, but it's just negative 1 over 0, so undefined, which is again a vertical, oh, I didn't even see my notes, vertical asymptote, vertical asymptote. Now pi over 4 is root 2 over 2 divided by root 2 over 2. So same thing divided by the same thing, so I get a value of 1. So I have values of pi over 4 comma 1. And then you have the reverse. Negative root 2 over 2 divided by root 2 over 2 equals negative 1. So I have negative pi over 4 comma negative 1. So this graph is going to look a little bit different. So you're going to have asymptotes. So here is the origin, or the x value of 0. We have pi over 4 and pi over 2. Negative pi over 4, negative pi over 2. It is symmetric right now. Tangent is not always symmetric, but it can be. It depends on how much is moving left and right. So now you have two asymptotes on the ends. So this is your full period. Okay, so it's the end minus the beginning is 2 pi over 2. So you have a period of pi. Our other points are 0, 0. And pi over 4, I have positive 1. Negative pi over 4 is negative 1. So it does look like it goes diagonally, but it's not a straight line. Otherwise, it would go through the asymptotes. It does this and then curves by the asymptote here. And then goes here and then curves down by that one. Alright, so the period of tangent is not 2 pi. So sine, cosine, secant, cosecant is always 2 pi over b. So different from sine and cosine wave, whose period is 2 pi, and that goes for cosecant and secant. Tangent, and also cotangent, has a period of pi, or also 1 pi. So to find the period of tangent, we're going to do the same thing. We will use pi divided by the b value. And it's normally going to go rise from left to right. Okay, so the repeating part is, or the period is between the two asymptotes. Alright, cotangent is a little bit different because it's the flip of it. So remember that cosine is always the x coordinate and sine always the y. Since cotangent is a reciprocal of tangent, we do the x over the y, or the cosine over sine. Okay. Root 2 over 2, so some points on your unit circle. Alright, oh man, these are all supposed to be cotangent. So cotangent at 0, we do 1 over 0, so it's the flip of tangent. So this is undefined. So we have give a vertical asymptote there. Pi over 4, doesn't matter how it looks, they're both the same, so I have value of 1. So pi over 4 is comma 1. Pi over 2 is 0 over 1, which gives us 0. So we have the order pair of pi over 2 and 0. 3 pi over 4 is negative root 2 over 2 divided by root 2 over 2. Now again, there's more points in between here, but because I am focused on getting you concrete points, I'm giving you specific ones to help you graph it. So all these are for cotangent, so copy paste didn't work. Well, it did, but it didn't change it for me. And then negative 1 over 0, which is undefined, we have another vertical asymptote. So pi, I have a vertical asymptote, and at 0, I have a vertical asymptote. So again, so the period of cotangent, we use pi divided by b again. Alright, so 0, what do we have? Pi over 4, pi over 2, 3 pi over 4, and at pi. At 0, I have a vertical asymptote. At pi, I have a vertical asymptote, and everything happens in between. So at pi over 2, I am at 0. Pi over 4, I'm at 1. And 3 pi over 4, I have a negative 1. So tangent, you can see, tangent is split majority of the time over from the origin, half goes right and half goes left. Cotangent, unless we're moving right, shifting it, will start at 0 and go over to pi. We're not going to do a lot of shifts, at least horizontally. So because we're doing reciprocal, cotangent falls left, going to right with the asymptotes around it. Okay. So when you start looking at this, a value is still in front of it, b value is still with the x, so a is 1, b is 1/2, amplitude is still 1, period is now pi divided by b, so now it is 2 pi. Okay, tangents. Tangent, half of it goes this way and half of it goes this way. Okay, so if the whole period is 2 pi, I need half of it to go here and the other half to go the other direction. Okay, 0 pi, negative pi. I'm splitting it up evenly. We're not going to do a whole lot of shifts these horizontally, so for right now, just focus on them being split evenly, and I will warn you when they're not. On either on the two ends, there are going to be vertical asymptotes. Period is 1. And tangent rises right to left. So if we go like this, we rise. So it rises going to this way, and it just curves up by the asymptote. Okay, my key points. Negative pi over 2, 0 pi over 2, and pi. Cotangent goes the reverse way. Amplitude is 2, so I go from 2 to negative 2. So a was 2 and b was 1/3. Period is pi over that, so 3 pi. Cotangent starts at 0 and goes out to 3 pi. Okay, so you can still divide this by 4 to get your period divided by 4 will still get your interval. Okay, so 0, 3 pi over 4, 6 pi over 4, so 3 pi over 2, 9 pi over 4, and 12 pi over 4, so 3 pi. Okay, asymptotes start in the beginning and the end every time. In the middle is 0. And the high, you reverse it. Left is up, right is down, like that. Alright. So for tomorrow, I'd like you to do 2 graphs. So on page 29, try a tangent and try a cotangent. Let me know if you have questions. Talk to you later. Bye.